Hello and welcome to another video from Sustenance Uncovered, the only channel you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be about vines, because vines love trees and mature trees actually love vines. But mature trees, we're talking about 500-year-old trees, and very few people have any of those. So we're going to talk about what to do with vines in your trees if your trees are less than 500 years old. You see, I'm showing you this here just to show you how sick looking this forest is. A lot of what you see there, little squiggly things, are vines, and they are absolutely killing every little tree in there. And that's the way my forest looked, or my woods looked, when I started. I had to pull vines out. And in fact, you see the damage that this little vine is doing to this tree right here? Well, look at this one. Normally when a tree is this bad off, I just cut it down. But that's a very unique pattern. I've got a couple of them like that, and I'll leave them, just to see if they live to maturity. And they probably will. It's been about 3 years since I pulled the vines out of these two trees. But even a tree that's this big, this is not a mature tree. This tree is only about 40 years old. And you've got to maintain, some kind of control over the vines. This is a cross vine growing up here. I love cross vine. I love all vines because they feed the birds. Most vines make their seeds on the top of a tree. And that's where the birds eat. This is a poison ivy. Poison ivy is one of the best vines to have in your trees, because poison ivy holds its berries through the winter, and that's a time when most bird food is gone. And so to feed your birds through the winter, you need to have a lot of poison ivy. Now another vine that's really tenacious is grapevines. These are grapevines down here. These are the ones that really give me fits. I have to be constantly trimming my ground cover with my machine to keep these down. This has only been about, a month since I cut this. And look how big that is. That thing will grow. Some vines can grow a foot a day. And that's in every direction. All plants get their energy from the sun. But they store it. So even after you cut them down, even if you have them in the dark, these things will keep coming back, even in the dark, until they use up all the energy in their roots. Well, grapevines have even another problem. If you look at this, here's the vine this is growing off of. There's the end of it. But initially, this end went on and on and on before I cut it off. That could be connected to a grapevine over there in the sun. That grapevine that's in the sun can be taking in enough energy to feed these grapevines over here in the shade. Look, here's a little American beautyberry bush. If I don't get back out here soon, it'll be dead, because those vines, that grape is grabbing hold of it. I hope you can see those little grapes grabbing it. Now, get back to this 40-year-old tree. If you think a 40-year-old tree can handle vines and you don't have to worry about it, look at this. There's about 10 vines still hanging there. I cut those about 5 years ago. There were at least 200 vines in this tree. And I've been pulling them out every year. I'll take a day that I'll just go pulling these dead vines out, and they're still hanging on. But this tree, when it had 200 vines in it, was extremely sick. And when a hurricane came, those vines acted like a sail and broke, the vast majority of the limbs out of this tree. The only reason we ain't cutting it down is because it's we don't have enough 40-year-old trees to just cut them down when we feel like it. But there were limbs all over the ground, just covered with vines. It took me, I've got about 40 hours just in this one tree. And back when I did this, I actually could still use a chainsaw. And I cut up tree limbs for days. When I say 40 hours, we're talking about 2 weeks back then. That's about how much I'd be able to go. That'll tear your saw up right there. That dry piece of oak, and that piece right there probably weighs 50 pounds. There ain't no way in the world it's probably more than that. It's probably about 75 pounds. Because there's no way in the world I could move that. I can't even pick it up to put it on a dolly. Here's another one. There's a few trees that went down that are still sitting there. What was Katrina? That's like 7 years ago. In any case, you're going to have to intervene. If you live in a forest, you ain't got to worry about it, because forests are very dark. Very rare for a vine to get started, and if it does, it's going to be in a real, actual, mature tree. So it can handle it. But if you live in the woods like I do, too much light hits the ground. Every grape seed, every poison ivy seed that hits the ground is going to sprout and it's going to grow. So you've got to take action. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.